YouTube, what's going on today? It's Grady Bulick back here with another episode of the Grady Bulick Show. I wanted to come to you guys today. I know it's a little bit different, doesn't look as great. I'm sorry about that. I had a piece of equipment break and I'm not able to use my camera right now, but we're just hooking up with the computer camera on my laptop, and that's where we're at today, but it's okay. In this video here, I have an interview with a good buddy of mine, Stone Simmons. He pitches for the Mississippi Sate Bulldogs, won a national championship, the College World Series, back in the 2020-2021 season. And so this video is just going to be me, my interview with Stone. And we'll be back soon. I'll actually be posting a NBA Finals preview on Thursday before the finals begin. We have the Miami Heat facing off against the Golden State Warriors. But again, this is going to be my interview with Stone Simmons. Thank you guys for being here. If you like this kind of content, I'm going to start trying to hook up with some more interviews and stuff like that. If you like this video, like the video, share it with a friend, sub to the YouTube channel so you guys don't miss any more content over here. Like I said, we're going to have another video this week, another full-length video, and then some more short-form content over on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, that kind of stuff, and be sure to follow the Twitter as well. With all that being said, be sure to tell somebody you love them, you care about them, and that you're there for them. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys Thursday. Y'all have a blessed Tuesday, and enjoy the video. What's up, everybody? It's Grady Bulick, host of the Grady Bulick Show. I'm here with 2020-2021 College World Series national champion Stone Simmons, number 17, relief pitcher for the Mississippi Sate Bulldogs. Stone, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, man? Good to see you here, bro.
Good to see you, man. All right, so guys, I'm just going to interview Stone today. A little bit different content for y'all. So Stone, let's go ahead and jump into it. First question, tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, I know you. Probably none of my fans know you. So go ahead and explain it. Who you are, bro.
I'm originally from Sugar Land, Texas, which is just outside of Houston, just south. It's like a little suburb. And so obviously I'm from Texas. It's not really country Texas. It's kind of, like I said, it's outside of Houston. So I'm kind of a city boy, but I got some Texas roots in me. But I've been playing baseball since I was like 3 or 4. That's the only sport I've ever played. I've been kind of a big and relatively like fragile guy, so I haven't been able to play, basketball, football, anything like that. But anyways, I went to elementary school out there in a tiny little school, and then moved into inner city Houston for middle school for 3 years, and then played a little bit more baseball, got better and better, and then moved into west inner city kind of Houston, and went to high school at a school called the Kincaid School. A good education, really good education, private school, and played there, committed to Furman University to play some baseball. Went there for 1 year. It was the COVID year. They shut down our program, and I transferred to Mississippi State as a result of that, and now we're here. So that's a quick walkthrough, but I don't know. I guess that's the general gist of my entire baseball journey.
Right. I guess I didn't even know that you, I guess I knew you started at Furman, but I wasn't thinking that you, I didn't realize they had shut your program down. What was that like going through COVID? Because I didn't play COVID year. That was a year after I decided to stop playing football. So what was it like as an athlete going through COVID year, and then obviously having your program completely taken away at the school that you were at?
Yeah, man. It was really weird. So it was, like I said, it was my freshman year of college. Furman it's a small D1 school, but it is D1, or at least it was at the time in baseball. And
right.
I was having fun. Like, I had a great group of friends around me, and we had a really good team. We were special. And then I was actually starting on Fridays. I was fortunate. And then, we were about to play College at Charleston. It was going to be probably the biggest series of the year so far, at least. And it was my birthday, and the coach called us in March 12th. And he was like, with COVID happening, I'm sure y'all have heard a lot of schools are like canceling their seasons and stuff. And we're, under the influence of the Southern Conference, and they decided to do the same thing. And we were all like, man, that really sucks. But it's not the end of the world.
Right.
And it's it's tough being an athlete then because that's your entire life in terms of like how much time you spend doing it. But it was definitely weird. But what made it a lot worse was I want to say a month and a half ish later, we get on a Zoom call and with athletic director and all the administrators and stuff, and they're just telling us, we're going to get right to the chase. We're going to cut the baseball program, and that was what was super weird. Just completely out of nowhere. And and I mean they did help us through the portal. In our processes of, they assumed all of us were going to transfer, and just about all of us did. And for me, I was lucky. Since I was pitching on Fridays, I just had a little bit of experience, and teams wanted me, and I got to go to pretty much wherever I wanted, and I ended up choosing Mississippi State. So,
wow. I mean, so they just came on the Zoom, or like, yeah, we're no more baseball at Furman.
Yeah. And also like a week before that, we had been doing team Zooms that entire time. And our coach was like, okay, we've talked about pretty much everything we need to talk about, so I'm not going to Zoom anymore unless it's like an emergency or something. And then a week later, they're like, team Zoom tomorrow. We were all like, oh no, like it's got to be something bad,
Right.
But that's how that went down. It was 5-10 minutes. And then I went on a run because I hadn't worked out that day. I was running about an hour later. I get a call from my high school head coach, who's like one of my biggest like baseball mentors throughout my life. And he called me and he was like, hey, I know you don't want to talk about it, and we don't have to talk about it, but I need you to do like 3 things real quick. And he walked me through the process of getting into the portal. And he was like, it's super important that you do this as quick as possible, because the next few weeks are going to be tough for you. Right. And he was right. Those next couple of weeks, just being in the portal, taking phone calls all day, like that was one of the toughest times in my life for sure. Really, really tough.
Yeah. When they made the announcement to cancel the football season for that fall, like it started off with, because I was actually going to be a student coach. I was actually going to get to be on the field and stuff like that. And I was really excited. And we got to do one spring ball practice. And then the next day was, like you just said, March 12th.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that'll be a day that lives in college athletes' minds for forever.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
And when they said, okay, we're done for the spring, like, okay, like we'll pick it back up in June or July. We'll have a later summer. We'll probably start a little bit later in the fall. Not a huge deal. And then they go, okay, we're not coming back to school. And it's like, okay, well, that's weird.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, everything just is like, yeah, we're not doing anything this fall. Yep. Like no basketball, no nothing. And it was like, they just took everything from all these athletes.
Yeah, everything. And for me, I was trying to get recruited in that time. And it was impossible to, try to figure out and make a good decision about where to go without actually going there in person, without actually talking to people in person. And
right.
So
yeah, it was one of the weirdest. And this is I'm just talking strictly athletics. I'm not even talking about the rest of the world, because obviously the rest of the world, we went through some crazy things in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But as an athlete and as somebody who was going to be involved in the game at a different level, it was heartbreaking. I mean, I know a lot of people went through some difficult times, and I mean, you're mentioning them right now with the way the recruiting was, because a lot of high school athletes didn't even get recruited.
Yeah. It messed up a lot of high school athletes' futures, man. Yeah. It's tough time, man.
So we're going to switch to a much lighter and happier note. The 2020-2021 season, you and I actually got to meet, shout out to Xbox Gaming, and Kite McDonald, Trey Sitterly, all those guys. We got to meet literally playing video games. And then I graduated in the spring of 21, and you guys were playing unbelievable baseball. I mean, that run – I'm not a big college baseball guy, but you guys maybe watched college baseball that whole season, because I'd never seen anything like that before. And so just kind of talk about, like, did you even think your team had a chance to win a national championship? I know everybody says, yeah, that's our goal every year, obviously. But, like, did you guys really have any idea what that season was going to hold for you?
Yeah. obviously everyone's going to say, yeah, we were thinking it at the beginning of the season and that was our goal. But I'll tell you this. So whenever I was at Furman, it was like 1 week before the season got cut. It was the Saturday game. So I had pitched the day before and I was sitting in the dugout and I was talking to my teammates and I was like, listen, like, I'm going to make a prediction right now. And it's that whoever wins the College World Series this year, this is the person that's going to be the national championship winner. And I said, if it's not us, it's going to be Mississippi State. And the guy was like, dude, you can't say that. Like, you're at Furman, like we're going to win, and I was like, okay, like, but if we don't, it's going to be Mississippi State. And then obviously the season gets cut. And I completely forgot about this story until a couple months ago. It came to me. And then, I ended up transferring to Mississippi State, which just happened to, it just worked out. It was the depth of the pitching staff, by the way, that made me think that. And I got there and it was a different team than it was the year before, but it wasn't that different. And we were a special team. And coming into the season, I was like, this is a really, really good team. But I had been playing at Furman and I hadn't been around the SEC schools. So I didn't have like an accurate representation or an accurate idea in my head of this is definitely a national championship team. All I knew is that we were really good. And we started playing and we started winning. I mean, we never stopped winning really.
Right.
And I was thinking like, when are we going to lose? Like we had one bad series towards the end of the year against Mizzou who,
we don't talk about that, Stone. I was there. That was
that's right.
That was the series I came to.
Tough series. Yeah. But I was thinking about it and I was like, this is our worst series all year. And we still took one from them.
Right.
And it really, it was bad, but it wasn't that bad. And I was looking back on it like a couple of days ago. I was just thinking like, that's how good we were that year. We were just, we were a different breed of good. But I did know about halfway through the season, I was like, okay, now I've gotten, some experience in the SEC and I've seen some other teams, like we're better than all these teams,
Right.
And there were a couple other teams that were definitely as good as us, at least it seemed that way early in the season. Tennessee and Arkansas for sure, those two teams. And then, Arkansas was the clear number one in the country. And I think at some point they were bound to lose. They were riding a hot streak and, and they finally cooled off.
Right.
Tennessee, another really good team. But I did start to realize, as the season went on, I was like, man, like we're going to do this thing. So.
Yeah. When, cause like I said, I never really watched, I knew college baseball was very exciting. I've been to, I went to a Texas State series several years ago. Yeah. And I mean, it was just fun. And there's always obviously a difference between collegiate athletics and professional athletics. There, in my opinion, I believe there's more passion in collegiate athletics. Not that guys don't care at the professional level. Obviously they do. And it means a lot to win things. But like at the college level, it's just a different experience.
For sure.
And I think a lot of professional athletes would say the same thing because you have to deal with so much more stuff at the professional level that you don't necessarily have to at the collegiate level. The way I think the coolest thing when I was in Starkville was the way that I'm going to get into this more later, but the way the community surrounded you guys, the way the community supported you guys. I mean, you had little dudes wearing y'all's jerseys. You had, the older generation of Starkville fans of Mississippi State Bulldog fans at the games, just living life and enjoying and watching you guys win ball games.
Yeah, man.
And when I came to the series that you guys didn't win, which I was not happy about. But I mean, you guys were obviously upset because Missouri was not the type of caliber team y'all should have been losing to, and everybody knew it. But the way the city just was like, we'll pick it back. We'll be all right. Like, don't worry about it. We're gonna go win a national championship. That was the vibe the entire time. And so we'll get into that in a second. So what was it like going on that run? I mean, when it's starting to realize, you said halfway through the season you realized it, but like in the SEC tournament, because Vanderbilt, like no one was talking about you guys.
Right.
Everybody's like, yeah, Mississippi State's a good team, but everybody's talking about Kumar and Leiter from Vanderbilt. Those were the top two guys everybody was talking about. And it was like, you guys had freaking Will Bednar. That dude's a dog. And then Landon Sims. Like, if not the same type of caliber pitchers. You know what I mean? So what was it like going, like, number one, hearing all that, like, okay, we're not getting talked about like we should be, but then going on the SEC tournament run and then obviously the College World Series and beyond?
Yeah. So, I think if that year had happened this year, and I know we're going to get to this, but I'm hurt right now and I'm just sitting on the bench and watching everything from, I feel like almost like a third party view, I think I would have had a lot more time to like really realize it and like, I don't know, let it marinate and just like really enjoy my time. But last season, and don't get me wrong, like I knew Landon Sims was becoming like one of the most feared pitchers in college baseball history. And I knew Will Bednar, who, to be completely honest with you, like had a really good regular season, but I knew he had another level and like to step up to in the playoffs. And I figured he was going to do it. But at the same time, like I wasn't really thinking about how awesome it was that we're doing that, because I was like a part of it, and I was having to prepare myself and for every game, because as a reliever, it's just you got to be hot for every game. And
well, yeah, and I remember you telling me, like, because I would ask you, like, when's your time to come in? Is it you said within the first 3 innings, if we get down a run, that's when I know, because that's when you know to go, and that was your job.
Yeah. And it was really complicated last year because we had a million guys and we were all good.
Right.
And like this year, whenever I was healthy, I had like more of a clear role, but last year, like my role seemed to be kind of like if it was, if the starter had a rough start and I would come in like the third and we'd be down a couple runs, or if there was the starter went 5 innings and Landon was not ready to go 4, he could only go 2. I would kind of be the bridge sometimes between the starter and Landon. And it just kind of depended, but because it depended, like I had to be ready every game.
Right.
And, I know most relievers probably have to do the same thing. But that just kept me from really like processing what was going on. Yeah. And it's really taken until this year because, everyone knows we had a rough season this year. But now that like we've finally done some losing, I'm looking back at last year and I'm thinking like, wow, that really was a ridiculous year. That entire time I was just doing my little job, but I was getting to play with like guys like Tanner Allen and Rowdy. And I mean, guys that are just unreal hitters. And then obviously guys that I played with again this year, Logan Tanner, Cameron James, all these guys, Kellen Clark. But then I also got to learn from Landon Sims, who's just, the best in the business, is going to be a first rounder probably this draft. And then, Will Bednar, my roommate, who what a stroke of luck I got to live with him. But I don't know. It was an unbelievable time. But like I said, like I really didn't process it. It took me a long time.
Well, I know when people, when you go through a lot of success, like you don't, like you just said, it takes a while to process it because you get on this high almost like you just talked about Arkansas. They were riding a hot streak all year long. And it seemed like they were buying into it. You guys never bought into the fact that y'all were really good. Mm-hmm. Your coach never let you do that. You've got one of the best coaches in the business.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And he never allowed you guys to talk yourselves up. Like, yeah, we had a great game, but, tomorrow's another day. We could lose 15 straight or whatever. You know what I mean? So you guys, and that was something I noticed with every single one of your teammates, and you included. You guys never thought that this was it. Yeah. You guys had the mindset to, okay, great. We just blew somebody out 8-1. Mm-hmm. Okay, tomorrow's another day. They could come back and do the same thing to us. We got to come back and go to work. Yeah. And in the College World Series, I've never seen anything like that before. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'll tell you right now, like a lot of that was Tanner Allen, and his leadership mentality was, this is like, I'm sure maybe you've heard him say this, but he was big on never getting too high on the highs, never too low on the lows. And like, that is the most crucial point in baseball. Like if you can avoid like getting too heavy of a head or getting too down on yourself, and you can just stay consistent and confident in yourself through regardless, you can have an outstanding team and definitely a good personal year. But we had that, like all of our guys were on that, and he led us to that great mentality. So.
All right, let's talk about the national championship series. Let's talk about you guys winning it all against it was Vanderbilt, right? Because y'all beat Texas in the semifinals. That was unbelievable, by the way. The walk-off.
Oh man. Tanner Leggett.
Man, I'll never forget that. I watched it on my laptop. I was in my room watching it on my laptop, and I went nuts, dude.
Wow.
I went crazy.
Crazy, man.
Oh, and I hate Texas, so horns down forever. So the national championship series versus Vanderbilt. You got Kumar Rocker and you got Leiter. Like I said, those dudes were talked about all year long.
Mm-hmm.
Will Bednar, yeah, he's really good. He's really good. Leiter and Kumar. That's it.
For sure.
What was it like knowing you were going up against those two who are, bar none, some of the best pitchers college baseball has ever seen?
100%. Probably the best one, too, if not one.
What was that series like going 1-1 and then obviously game 3 winning it all?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff to unpackage there, but I think the craziest thing was it was game 1. I don't want to get anything wrong. I think I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. Game 1, Leiter started for them, and we had one of my good buddies, Christian McLeod, on the mound. He had a rough start, and he gave up however many runs it was in the first, and we were down a good bit early. And it was at that point, we knew that we probably weren't going to win that game. Right. And that wasn't us, losing confidence. That was just more us realizing like, okay, we have Jack Leiter, who a lot of people thought was better than Kumar Rocker, and I mean, man, he's so good on the other bump. And like, we were confident we could put a couple up on him. And we did. We actually beat them the rest of the game. I want to say it was the innings 2 through 8. We won the game. But inning 1 really killed us. And our bullpen pitched really, really well that game. And we held them. And from what I remember, we saved a lot of our arms. That game ended, and I will never forget, like, we were all on the bus, and usually if it's a bad loss, you get into the locker room, you get into the bus, and it's just like dead silent. I know you've been there.
Yeah.
It was like we were all talking and we were joking, and we were like, we're winning this series. Like, we were 100% confident that we were going to win the series, because after like everything went wrong, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Christian had a rough start, Leiter shoved. And, we were just like, we lost that game fair and square. And we were thinking, if we still found a way to beat them innings 2 through 8, and we have, whoever it was the next day, I think it was Kumar the last day of the series, if I remember right. And then the next guy was a young kid. I forget his name, Christian something.
Yeah, y'all torched him game 2.
Yeah, right. And I just remember us like having all the confidence in the world, because we hit Jack Leiter, and then we had 2 guys that we thought were really good too, but not quite as good as Jack Leiter,
Right.
And Kumar was on short rest, if I remember right too. So, but we had all the confidence in the world that we kicked their butts game 2, and then and that was easy.
Wasn't it like 11-1 or something like that?
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it was. That was probably. I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna go win. I've got 2 friends. They're going to go win a freaking national championship.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
I was so excited. I couldn't sleep. I was so nervous for you guys.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. So I was living with it was me and Will Bednar, and Kite wasn't on the Omaha roster, but he had come down to Omaha, and he was there with us. And then one of our very best friends, my buddy Brooks, was there with us too in Omaha, and he's just an awesome guy, right? So we were all talking that night, the night before the national championship, and Will was on like 3 days of rest, and he was playing to start the national championship, and or the game 3. And I just remember asking him, because pretty much everyone in the bullpen had been used except for me, and Landon was hot enough, like he was good enough to go again. Mm-hmm. And what the clear game plan was, Will was going to start, and he was probably going to get through a few innings. And then at some point his arm was going to die, and then I was going to come in and be the bridge, and then Landon was going to close it. And like, I was so confident. Like I wasn't in myself, but also just like the team, you know, like I wasn't so worried about anything. But I was worried for Will's sake, you know, because,
Right.
you know, 3 days rest and a guy that's had 6 days rest all year. And I was talking to him the night before. I hope that he's okay with me saying this, but he clearly didn't have confidence in the fact that he was going to go 6 innings, no hit, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And then he comes out the next day. And so I was thinking, like, there's 100% chance I'm going to this game, you know? And I was sitting down in the bullpen the entire game. And Will goes, the first inning, walks a couple guys. And I'm like, oh, no, this is not, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when I actually started to get a little nervous. And then next thing I know, I blinked my eyes and he was through 6 innings, no hit, and Landon comes trotting down to the bullpen. And I'm like, all right, like, you take over, buddy. Like, we're gonna, you know, but it was man, it was a crazy series. It was definitely one of the coolest moments of my life. And, you know, for me, like, I was so excited to pitch in the game 3, you know?
Right.
But as soon as I saw Landon coming down there, I was like, this is Will and Landon's moment. And like, I couldn't be happier for them, you know? And I don't care to be a part of it because I'm a part of the team anyways and we're winning, you know?
Right.
But I just remember like how amazing that moment was because I got to run out of the bullpen. I was actually still down in the bullpen when Landon won it. And I was sprinting out with my hands like, oh, I looked so funny.
Bro, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. You took off, but your arms didn't move.
No,
like, they were straight vertical the whole time.
Yeah, man, it was so funny. Yeah, but that was a really good time, man.
Yeah, so obviously Kite and I talked that whole game 3. Like I went to my room, I shut the door, I was locked in. I was watching on my laptop, and I was texting Kite the whole time. And you're right, that first inning, I was like, okay, come on, lock in, Will. Like, what are you doing? Come on. Yeah. And then, you know, we started to get some hits later in the game, and then Will, for whatever reason, and however it happened, Will was on.
Man, dude.
And he didn't miss the rest of the game. No,
he was, I mean, it was really 2 pitches. He had his 2 pitches just really working, man. Like the fastball and the slider, they were both gross. The fastball was like 93, 95, like a good day on 3 days of rest. Just absurd. He had so much adrenaline.
And when Landon came in, I was like, well, that's a wrap. We just won. They just won the national championship.
Like, if he comes into the game, you know you're going to win. So that was crazy, man.
Hold on. Okay, we have 10 minutes right now. Okay, I can stop it and then start recording again, so I'm not worried about it. But, okay, so, yeah, unbelievable run for you guys. And you mentioned it earlier, you got injured this year. So talk about this year and the struggles that your team went through, because you just said you've now had time, and probably a lot of your teammates have now had time to process everything that happened last year. Because, like I said, you never let yourself think, oh my gosh, we could, you know, we're this good, we're that good, we're going to beat everybody, all that kind of stuff. This year was a complete 180. It seemed like, you know, you got hurt, Landon got hurt. Just kind of talk about, obviously, this season, but, you know, what's your personal recovery process been like, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. This was it was a rough season, man. So going into the season, I'll say this. Going into the season, I think that we thought that we were going to be just as good as we were last year. And in terms of talent, like even now looking back on it, like, man, we had a really good team this year. There were all sorts of things that didn't go our way. It was unfortunate in some ways, but also like we needed to be better. You know, we just didn't play as well as we should have. But early in the year, it was first weekend. Casey Hunt gets hurt somehow. And, you know, he was out for a little while. He was our Saturday starter, and he shoved preseason. Like, I mean, he was Landon Sims from last year. And obviously Landon was our Friday guy. And, you know, we're talking about maybe best Friday guy in the country. And Casey has potential to be up there and Saturday guys in the country. And then we have Cade Smith on Sunday, Mr. Reliable. Like, and he was reliable all year, had a great year. So Casey's injury really hurt. And then we had to put I think that's when Preston jumped into the weekend rotation. Anyways, like, you know, he was a great starter and he had a good year, but the issue was that we were kind of running thin on bullpen arms. At the time, though, we still had several guys, and we did have some troubles early on in the season, but it really wasn't that bad. It was, you know, we lost some games in some crucial moments. Situational hitting was slacking a little bit. We blew a couple games in tough moments. And it was, you know, I don't know, I think the third weekend of the series was Tulane. And, man, rough series against Tulane. We had Friday, Landon is in like the fifth inning or something like that, fourth inning. He struck out every hitter he's faced except for one. And he's just shoving. He's like 94, 97 or something like that. And then he just tears his UCL in the middle of the game. And, you know, that was brutal. And, you know, I'm sitting in the bullpen thinking, you know, man, that's tough for the team. That's tough for Landon. Like, I feel so bad. And then the next day I go out and I close the game and I tear my UCL. So, you know, that's just, it is what it is. Just 2 back-to-back days. Unfortunate. And I think I had kind of locked down a spot as our, you know, at least at that point in the season, I was our closer. So if we're assuming that, like, we just lost on Friday, we lost our Friday guy. On Saturday, we lost our closer. And a couple weeks earlier, we had lost our Saturday guy.
Right.
And anyways, the rest of the season goes on, and I think we really struggled to recover from those, the injuries. And then, you know, there were some other problems too. I don't know. It's too much to pinpoint, I think.
Right.
But also we had such a young group coming in this year, and we expected a ton out of those guys. And I think as a young kid coming into a team that just won the championship, and you either have to pick, you're going to be really humble because these guys kind of intimidate me because they just won it, or you have to pick, I'm going to step up and be cocky, and you know, I'm going to show them that I belong here. And, you know, either way, it's just 2 really tough roads to take, right? As a young kid, and it just didn't work out for a few of our guys, and who are going to come back and be really good next year.
Right.
But, you know, it was a rough season overall, but like I said, man, it is what it is. And next year we're going to go back there this summer in a few weeks and start working our butts off and have it not happen again. So that
And see, that's something that I think a lot of people have a hard time understanding, especially if you've never been in a situation like that before, to where, oh my gosh, you were on this crazy high. You just won the College World Series. You just did all of these things. And then these young guys come in, and yeah, you're right. They might be cocky and confident, but you get hit in the mouth at some point at any level of college athletics.
Yep.
Whether it's, oh my gosh, I just saw a 102-mile-per-hour fastball come at my face, or I just had a fifth-year senior tear my labrum fifth day of fall camp like I did. So it comes at you in a lot of different ways. And I'm very interested to see this team in the fall, like at the beginning of the season, and then the spring, and when y'all get into SEC play, because your young guys are unbelievably good.
So good, man.
I mean, you had who's the freshman that just all he did was rake? All he did was hit bombs.
Hunter Hines, baby.
Exactly. All he did was hit bombs. Every highlight that I saw from him was a home run, and it was out of the park.
He's so good. He's a stud.
And so I know you're excited to see where this team is in a year. And, you know, the pitching staff that had to go through a lot this year, be able to come back and be the guys who not only were you know, a year ago when you won a national championship, but like be even better because you have all of the confidence in the world. You've put in all of the work, and now you just got to sit there and let it ride. And then, you know, just go strike a bunch of people out and be the best pitching staff in the country.
Yeah, man. It's going to be tough. We, you know, we're going to be a new team for sure. I think we're going to have a lot of new guys.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I feel like that's happened at Mississippi State, you know. Not that the team hasn't changed much. It's just more that, like, we had a bad year, and it's not that we're going to rebuild, but it's like it's kind of time to move on and have almost like a fresh start. And that, I feel like that has happened in a while, you know. It hasn't really happened very often, especially at a program like State where, you know, we win all the time.
Right.
Just do a lot of winning. And last year we didn't do much winning. So this next season we got to step it up and start winning.
All right. So Stone, we talked a little bit about the community in Starkville. When I was there were a lot of younger fans, a lot of kids that, I mean, half of them, their team name was the Bulldogs or Stark Vegas, something like that. It had to do with the university and you guys.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like, or what is that like with a community that's just so supportive and they're such huge fans of you all? What is that like as a player?
It is the best feeling in the world, man. And I think I'm glad you asked this question, because I think some people think that, that these like really big college baseball fan bases, like the ones I can think of are like, us and Arkansas and like now Tennessee and, several other schools that are just like, they just have kind of the next level of fan base. I think some people think that they're too hardcore and they're too hard on the players and we're just college students and stuff like that. But the truth is, like, whenever you go to state, like, at least for me and for most of my teammates, like one of the biggest things that brought us here is the fact that people care about what we do. And this is something I will say until the day I die. Like, I would rather play bad and get chirped on Twitter by 1,000 people, 1,000 people in their house, just easy as, getting on their phone and typing a few words, right, than play bad and have nobody care. Like, and that is 100% true. And that's the only downside to, to playing in front of a big fan base. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm not calling out our fan base for doing that, but every fan base, obviously, is going to be upset when you lose. And if you're the person that, kind of blows the game, then you're going to get chirped a little bit. And that's just how it is. But that is, like, for me, that is why I play baseball. Like, I mean, that's a big part of it, at least. Like I love that people care about me, going on the field and working my tail off so I can play well.
Right.
And for me, it's just a different feeling, especially after coming from Furman, and Furman baseball is obviously not going to have a very big fan base. So we had, several people at every game and, I don't know, 100 people or so at every game. And it was fun when we had more people. I would get more adrenaline and I would and when I would pitch bad, I would be upset that I could go on Twitter and not really hear much about the fact that I didn't pitch well today, Yeah. But at state, like, I gave up 3 runs in 1 inning at the super regional, and it was like,
rough.
But it's so worth it, man. Like, I absolutely love it. It couldn't be any better.
So as a college baseball player, I feel like athletes, and sometimes I hate asking this question because I feel like it's asked every single interview, but to me, when people would ask me this kind of stuff, it meant a lot that somebody, would even think about asking me what I would tell a younger athlete.
Yeah.
And as someone who's been through, obviously, what you're going through right now, and for me personally, as someone who's been through an injury, I didn't play at the Division I level, but I played college football, and that's a huge deal. I mean, you look at the percentage, and it's not just Division I football. The percentage is like less than 1% of high school athletes go on to play a college sport.
Mm-hmm.
College anything is a huge deal, especially for an athlete. What is something, and like I said, a lot of kids come to y'all's games. A lot of parents bring their kids to y'all's games, and the way y'all act is, I know, and the way y'all carry yourselves, I know, is a big deal for your coach and for you as for you as an individual. What is something you would tell those young fans, young baseball players specifically, as just give them some advice, what it's like for you and watching guys that were older than you go on to play at the next level and stuff like that, and guys you've played with? Just talk about kind of what basically what's advice you would give them.
Yeah. Well, I think you're probably going to get a different answer from every person you ask this to, which is why it's an interesting question. It's asked so much. But for me, like, my baseball career, I think has been almost like the definition of adversity. And like, I don't want to get pity from this. And like, truth is, like, I haven't faced that much adversity.
Right.
But the thing I'm best at, I think, in life, and specifically in baseball, is something will happen, and I will be able to bounce back from it very well. That being said, whenever I get this question, like, I'm always thinking like something I see kids doing nowadays, which is like horrible to watch, is something bad will happen, then they'll start feeling bad for themselves, and then at some point their career will just take a steady decline,
Right.
a steady decline after that. Like once you start feeling bad for yourself, you get in the circle and then the cycle of just being sad all the time and feeling so bad for yourself that you can't actually work hard and get out of the hole. For me, obviously the most recent adversity I've had is I tore my UCL this season. And, the truth is, like, it sucks because I can't pitch, and it sucks because I can't play like I normally would, and like how I love to do it. But it's an opportunity also. Like for me, it's an opportunity to be a better teammate, step into a leadership role,
Right.
Take some time working on, stuff that I've always wanted to work on. That's not pitching, like for me, it's like eating better and being more athletic and just being a better athlete in general. Just there's all sorts of opportunities like adversity brings. So I guess my advice would be, for kids would be to, whenever adversity hits you, deal with it with open arms, and embrace it, and don't feel bad for yourself. Don't have any self-pity, because that's when big problems start to happen. And then you start to get in, like I said, in that cycle, and that cycle is so hard to get out of. So if you can really avoid feeling bad for yourself, if you know how grateful, and if you be grateful for the life that you have, like it's a lot better of a life to live.
And it could always be worse.
Oh, it can always be. That's what I'm saying. I've only faced, maybe I didn't get recruited super heavily out of high school, but then I ended up at Mississippi State and won the national championship.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, but for me, like there has been some adversity, and it's just important for me to remember, like I live a really good life, and
Right.
regardless, like that's what keeps me going day after day. So,
well, I mean, we talked about COVID. I mean, and honestly, like I hate bringing that up a lot of times because I'm like, all right, let's just move on. COVID's, we're not as concerned about it anymore. But I mean, like we talked about, it hurt a lot of athletes in a lot of major ways, and not necessarily physically, but mentally.
mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people, me included, I used to think, I mean, mentality is a big thing, but I never thought it was as important as it is, because you could get lost in yourself real quick. And I know a lot of people did. I know I did personally. And those younger kids, it affected little leagues. It affected everybody. And I think, what you said is perfect. I mean, you can't feel sorry for yourself, because if you start doing that, you expect pity from everybody else, and nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Yeah. And I think, nowadays there are so many people that feel sorry for themselves and have this kind of self-conscious like mentality, and it turns into cockiness. And because of that, like confidence and cockiness has been put like a negative cloud over it, I feel like. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, like, this is just building off what I was saying, like confidence is literally the most important thing in everything you do. Right. Like if you have confidence in yourself, then, when somebody tells you something that's not true, then you can just continue to work through it and shrug it off. Or if you're down, and if you're in that cycle that I was talking about, like somebody gives you criticism or somebody on Twitter says, oh man, that guy sucked, get him out of the game. Like that's going to hurt you and put you even farther in the hole. And then you're going to have to climb even farther to get out of it, Right. And that's the thing is that, people nowadays, they feel bad for themselves, but also like when you don't feel bad for yourself, it's almost like thought of as bad to be overly confident. Right. And that's not how it is. Like for me, I don't know. I think that whenever I'm on the mound, I'm a completely different person than I am outside the mound, and I think I'm better than every player that ever existed and played baseball, but that's just the way I pitch.
Right.
And I feel like it's a good way to pitch. Like for me, there's nothing that can get in my head, Right. And that's something that's really always kept me going and how to deal with the adversity. So.
Right. Yeah, that's great advice. And you are the best pitcher when you're on the mound, Stone. I hope you know that.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. So kind of wrapping up, what is a goal for you, kind of next season? I know we just kind of talked about you may be out longer than you hoped for, but as a team and then obviously as an individual, I'm expecting the cliche, oh yeah, we're going to win a national championship, but go deeper than that, Stone.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, first of all, like I was just telling you this off camera, I think, but I don't know if I'm going to be back next season. I don't know what the deal is there. I had a pretty big surgery, the biggest John possible, actually. That leaves some questions. Might be back towards the end of the season, might not be back at all. Just kind of depends. And to be honest with you, I'm not putting a deadline on myself. I don't want to hurt myself because I try to come back too soon. So I think I don't want my goal to be baseball related for me personally, in terms of performance. But I do have goals that are baseball related that are not performance. So one thing is that I really want to step into a bigger leadership role on the team. And that's something that I feel like I can really do. And I think something that we kind of lacked last year, not that our leaders weren't good enough, just more that the oldest guys on our team are the biggest leaders. Like names I can think of are Luke Hancock for the hitters, great leader. Brandon Smith for the pitchers, old guy, great leader. He was a starter though. And then Landon Sims, obviously great leader, but he wasn't playing and he's a starter too. But I think our bullpen really needed a leader. And since we had so many guys all kind of collectively struggling, I don't know if one person really took over that leadership role out of the bullpen. And for me, my career has been spent, at least at Mississippi State, has been spent in the bullpen. And I want to step into the role where I get these young kids to realize how important it is to actually come out of the bullpen and get the ball in a situation where the game's on the line and throw the most important pitches of the game. I feel like some people don't really understand that. And for me, I want to be the guy that sits down in the bullpen and make sure that these guys are amped up and ready to go and focused and excited to come in out of the bullpen rather than, and I'm not saying that this happened, but I feel like something that happens a lot is that guys come out of the bullpen and they just wish they were starting, Right. And I hate that because for me, this season, I was so excited to hopefully be our closer. I was thinking this is the coolest job in the world. I get the ball when the game matters. Right. I don't know. And I want more people to have that mentality. So I want to step into that role. And then also we need to win, man. And I think in order to win more, you got to have a little bit better team chemistry. There's a lot of other things. So you got to work a little harder. You got to just do everything a little bit better. Right. And that's something I can help the team do a lot, whether I'm pitching or not, and just whether it's as the leader or not too, I can just be there and help guys through everything. And that's a goal I definitely have for myself. And like I said, for the team, it's just, if we follow those goals, we'll start winning more. So, right.
Well, Stone, it's been good, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. This has been awesome.
Yeah. I haven't got to interview anybody in a long time. And this is why I like podcasts and stuff like that. Cause you just get to talk to people and it's on a different level than a post-game interview or a pre-game interview. Cause you're not entirely focused. Blake Griffin made a joke one time that, what if we interviewed normal people, not athletes, right after they got done doing something that was, physically exhausting? Yeah. Let's see what their answers would be like, because how do you expect us to answer at 2:22 remaining in the second quarter? This happened. What are your thoughts on it? What kind of question is that? Come on.
With your adrenaline pumping, yeah.
Right. And so doing this kind of stuff allows you to almost find a different level of number one questioning, but also, like you said, that you took that question, the last question I asked you, outside of baseball. Yes, it's baseball related, but it's not necessarily how I perform. It's how I carry myself as a teammate, as an individual, and how I relate to my teammates and stuff like that. So that's I love doing this kind of stuff, man. And I'm glad we got to sit down and talk for a little bit.
Yeah, man, for sure. Like I said, I appreciate it, man.
All right, guys. I'm gonna let Stone go and go follow him on all the social medias. Stone, you want to plug all your stuff?
Yeah, why not? Instagram, Twitter, they're both the same. Stone Simmons 17 if you want to follow me.
So go follow him, and good luck on your recovery. Good luck on everything going on with you at Mississippi State. And guys, I'm Graham Buelig, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay.